"Get out of my hotel. This place isn't for your kind." The words didn't slip out by mistake. They were said like a rule, loud, clear, and practiced. Mark Davis, manager of the Grand City Hotel in downtown Chicago, stood behind the front desk with his arms crossed and hate written all over his face. He wasn't whispering. He wasn't hiding. He said it so the whole lobby could hear. He looked right at her, at the black woman in simple clothes, and decided right then that she didn't belong. What he didn't know was that in exactly 12 minutes, the woman standing in front of him would fire him and his whole team right there in the same lobby where he just tried to shame her. Before we start this story, tell me where you're watching from. Write your city in the comments below. And if this moment shocked you, like it shocked the guests around her, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Trust me, you won't believe what happens next. Now let's go back to how this whole thing started. Maya Johnson walked through the glass doors of the Grand City Hotel alone. No fancy bag, no expensive jewelry, no designer clothes, just a white t-shirt, black jeans, and calm eyes that had seen this kind of treatment before. She walked slowly and confidently across the marble floor. Her tennis shoes made no sound, but her presence made everyone look. She went to the front desk. Behind it stood Mark, age 45, with two other workers. Sarah Chen, 28, with her hair pulled back tight and a fake smile. And David Wilson, 25, with his arms crossed and suspicious eyes. None of them said hello. None of them smiled. They just looked her up and down like she was trouble waiting to happen. "I need my room," Maya said calmly. "I have a booking for the penthouse. My name is Johnson." Mark looked at her like he didn't hear right. "That's a very expensive room. Are you sure you called the right hotel?" Maya didn't get angry at the insult. She calmly put her ID and black credit card on the counter. Mark picked them up with just 2 fingers, holding the card like it might be dirty. "This looks fake," he said quietly. Sarah pressed a button on the desk. Her voice went out over the speaker system. "Security, we have someone trying to use a fake card to get into our best room. Might be stolen." Maya's face didn't change. Her voice stayed calm. "I'm not here to cause problems. I just want my room." David laughed. "You know, people try this all the time. Fake cards, made-up names, hoping we won't check, but we always check." From across the room, Lisa Park, a food blogger visiting from New York, lifted her phone. "I'm recording this," she whispered to her friend, Jake Moore. Then louder, "This needs to be filmed. People have to see this." Jake started streaming live on social media. "We're at the Grand City Hotel in Chicago," he said into the camera, "and we're watching something really bad happen right now." Anna Rodriguez, the young desk worker standing nearby, looked up from her computer. Her eyes met Maya's. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Or worry. Anna stepped forward, but Mark stopped her with one look. "She doesn't belong here," he said sharply. Anna took out her phone and sent a quick message. On the other end, in an office just 5 blocks away, Maya's assistant, Kelly Thompson, answered right away. "It's happening," Maya said quietly. Kelly didn't wait. "The plan is ready," she said. Mark still held Maya's card, turning it over like he was looking for proof it was fake. "You know," he said louder now, "we've seen this trick before. People come in, show fake cards, and try to get into rooms they can't afford. Well, not today." He turned to David and gave him the card. "Lock this up." David took it happily and walked to a small safe behind the desk. He opened it with big movements, wanting everyone to see. He put the card inside and closed it. "Hard. You're done here," he said with a smile. Lisa, still filming, called out, "They just took her card. That's stealing." Jake stepped closer. "That's not hotel policy. That's theft." Maya didn't move. Her voice stayed steady. You're going to be sorry you did that. When Maya was 22, she walked into a fancy hotel in Atlanta after a long flight. She was wearing sweatpants, tired from work meetings, and had a confirmed booking. The man at the desk looked at her and said, "You don't look like someone who would stay here." He told her the computer was broken and she should come back when the manager was there. She spent that night sleeping in her car. The next morning, she started writing a business plan that would become one of the biggest hotel companies in America. Now, standing in a lobby she actually owned, hearing the same tone, the same judgment, the same kind of man trying to make her disappear, Mark leaned forward. "Your booking is canceled. We don't allow lies here. You're holding up real guests." Maya didn't back down. "You mean the ones watching this right now?" She pointed to Lisa and Jake, who were still recording. Other guests had stopped what they were doing. Some were staring. Some were talking quietly. Some looked uncomfortable. Anna watched with worry in her eyes. Sarah stepped in. "You need to leave right now." Maya looked right at her. "Are you sure about that?" Sarah's voice was full of confidence. "Yes, or we'll call the police." Mark smiled. "Go ahead, make a scene. It won't help you." Maya didn't blink. "That's the last time you'll ever talk to me like that." Anna finally stepped forward. "She's right. I saw her name in our computer this morning. Her booking is real." Mark turned to her angrily. "Say one more word and you're fired too." Maya lifted her phone again. This time her voice was louder. "Kelly, start recording everything. Time stamp this moment." Kelly's voice came through clearly. "Done. Systems are ready." Jake leaned toward the front desk, pointing at Maya's card in the safe. "That card says VIP on it. It's real. She's real." Mark laughed. "Anyone can make a fake card. People like her always try." Maya interrupted. "Finish what you were going to say. Go on." But he didn't. The words died as he noticed more eyes watching him. Maya stepped closer, calm and controlled, but every word had power. "You just made the biggest mistake of your working life," she said. Mark smiled like he still had control. "You think so?" She stared right at him. "I don't think so. I know so." And as the tension filled the lobby like smoke, nobody, not Mark, not Sarah, not David, had any idea who she really was. But they were about to find out in the worst way possible. What would you have done if someone treated you like this in a hotel? Tell us in the comments below. David Wilson's voice rang across the lobby like he owned the place. "This card is now hotel property," he announced, holding up the key to the safe like it was a trophy. "Until the bank says it's real, you're not getting it back." He smiled big, showing off sure he was right. Behind him, the safe door closed with a cold click. But David didn't see the storm he just started. Maya Johnson stood there, not moving, her face impossible to read. Her silence was stronger than any shouting. Mark leaned in again, eyes looking at the growing crowd. "You're wasting everyone's time," he said. "Walk out now, or we'll make you leave." That's when Sarah, feeling brave because her manager and David were backing her up, stepped out from behind the desk. She straightened her uniform and reached for Maya's arm. "You've been warned. Time to go." The second her hand touched Maya, everything in the lobby changed. People gasped. Lisa's phone caught it all. "She just grabbed her," Lisa shouted, already, uploading the video to social media with a simple caption. "This is happening live at Grand City Hotel." Jake's live stream now had over 500 people watching. Most of them were writing shocked comments. "That's assault. This is crazy. How is this happening at a nice hotel?" Anna Rodriguez stepped forward, her voice shaking with anger. "You can't put your hands on a guest," she said loudly. "Her booking is real. I saw it." Sarah spun around, eyes angry. "Stay out of this if you want to keep your job." But Anna didn't back down. She looked at Maya, who still hadn't moved, and took a step closer. "I won't lie for you," she told Mark. That was when Mark dropped all pretending. She's trying to steal from us, he said with hate in his voice. People like her always think they can trick the system. His words were quieter, but more poisonous. The guests nearby heard everything. One of them, an older woman with gray hair, said loud enough for everyone to hear, "I can't believe what I'm hearing." Another guest, a man in a business suit, leaned toward Jake's camera and said, "Are you getting all of this?" Jake nodded. Every word. In the middle of all this chaos stood Maya, perfectly still. She brought her phone to her ear again. "Kelly," she said calmly, "start the full audit. I want every word written down from now on." On the other end, Kelly's voice was sharp. "Got it. Everything is being recorded. Do you want me to call the legal team?" Maya said. "Give me 2 more minutes." As she said that, David leaned over the counter and shouted loud enough for the back wall to hear. "You're a fake, lady. You think some card gets you in here? Go back where you came from." A wave of angry whispers rose from the lobby. Anna was now fully away from her desk, standing next to Maya. "I've worked here for 2 years, she said, her voice strong. "Every time a guest like her walks in alone, dressed normal, you treat them like criminals." Mark's eyes got narrow. "And every time someone questions us," Anna continued, "you say it's policy. But it's not policy. It's just you." Maya remembered being 19, dressed in her church clothes, waiting in a hotel lobby in Miami. Her parents were late. A worker walked up to her and said, "This area is for guests only." She tried to explain, but the woman wouldn't listen. She was walked to the street like she was doing something wrong. The shame stayed with her for years. It didn't make her weak. It made her strong. It made her want to build something better. Mark wasn't done. He turned to Anna. "Enough. I want her out now, or security will remove both of you." Sarah, who had been quiet since Lisa started filming again, said quickly, "She wouldn't show us real ID. This is against the rules. We have to report it." But the guests were already turning against them. Jake, still filming, turned the camera to his own face. "Just so everyone knows," he said, "we're watching a guest get attacked by hotel staff after she showed her name, card, and ID. Now they're trying to physically remove her. This isn't just bad service, this is disgusting." Maya turned to David, her voice no louder than before. "Give me my card back, now." David leaned over the counter smiling. Or what? Maya's eyes didn't move from his. "Or you'll be banned from every Grand City hotel for life. No job, no references, no second chances." Sarah made a sound like a laugh. "You don't work for Grand City." But Anna spoke up right away. "She does." Mark's voice cracked like a whip. "You're way out of line, Anna. You don't even know who she is." Lisa said from the side, "Oh, she does. We all do." She turned her camera back to Maya. "Look how she's standing. Look how calm she is. That's not someone begging for a room. That's someone watching you destroy your own careers." Maya's voice stayed steady. "David, last chance." David looked unsure for the first time. Mark tried to save the situation. "This isn't personal. It's about following rules." But his words came too late. Lisa and Jake's videos were already spreading online. Guests were whispering about what they'd seen. One man said, "I've stayed here for 5 years. Never again." A young woman with a suitcase turned to Anna and asked quietly, "Is she really who I think she is?" Anna didn't answer with words, but her silence said everything. Then came the moment that changed everything. Anna stepped forward, her voice louder now. "This isn't the first time Mark ignored complaints about this. He's been warned before. I wrote down 4 incidents last month, 3 from single women of color. All dismissed." Mark's face turned red. "That's a lie." Jake pointed his camera at Mark. "You sure about that?" Maya looked around slowly. Every phone was up now. Every guest was paying attention. She said to everyone, but loud enough for all to hear, "Your time running this place without consequences is over." Mark tried one last desperate move. "Fine, if you won't leave. I'm calling the police myself." Maya smiled for the first time. "Please do." For a moment, Mark stopped, because for the first time he saw something in her face that scared him. Not fear, not worry. Power. Calm, quiet, and completely beyond his reach. Guests started moving, slowly but deliberately, stepping between Maya and the front desk. They didn't know her name yet, but they knew enough. One woman rolled her suitcase right into Sarah's path. Another man pulled his phone charger from the wall and stood beside Anna. Jake turned his phone around, showing the growing crowd. "They're protecting her now," he said to his viewers. Maya, still in the center, took one step forward and said something that made everyone freeze. "This hotel belongs to me." The words weren't shouted. They didn't need to be. David's smile disappeared. Sarah looked down. Mark's mouth opened, but nothing came out. And in that moment of complete silence, the lobby, which had been hostile just minutes before, began to change sides. How would you react if you saw hotel staff treating a guest like this? Share your thoughts in the comments. But this story is far from over. "Throw her out right now." Mark's voice cracked across the marble lobby like a judge's hammer. Desperate to get back control he'd already lost, the lobby wasn't quiet anymore. Phones were recording. Whispers had become loud complaints. But Mark, his face red and shaking with fake authority, kept pushing. "She's lying. She's a criminal," he yelled. He turned to the speaker system and hit the button hard. His voice went out to the whole hotel. "All staff, we have an unauthorized person in the lobby. Do not help her. Repeat, do not help this guest. Fraud alert." When the announcement ended, the silence that followed was heavier than his words. Maya didn't move, but the guests did. Lisa Park shouted from the corner, "She's not a fraud. We're recording everything." Her voice shook, not with fear, but with anger. Jake's live stream had jumped to over 3,000 viewers. Comments rolled in like a flood. "That's theft. This is unreal. How is this happening in a nice hotel?" A mother with her teenage daughter moved away from the check-in line, whispering, "They're going to be sorry." Sarah, still shaken, but following Mark's lead, grabbed Maya's arm again and pulled her toward the door. "Let's go. You're embarrassing." "Yourself," she said through closed teeth. That's when Ana Rodriguez stepped between them. "Don't touch her again," she said loud and clear. Sarah froze. "You'll be fired," she threatened. Anna didn't back down. "Then fire me," she shot back. "But you're not putting your hands on her again." Mark rushed forward, his anger boiling over. "Do you even know who she is?" he barked at Anna. "She's a fraud. Look at her." He pointed at Maya's t-shirt, her jeans, her tennis shoes, like they proved something. People who stay in penthouse rooms don't look like that. Maya's voice was quiet and measured. "You keep saying that word, fraud, like it'll make your mistake go away." She took one small step forward. The space between them closed like a trap around. Mark's lies. When Maya was 26, she flew to Los Angeles for a business meeting. She was wearing a navy suit. Professional, but not flashy. The man behind the hotel desk looked at her ID, then at her, then at the card again. "This can't be you," he said. "We need more ID." She gave him more, then more. But they still made her wait for 3 hours while they checked everything. During that time, she watched 4 white men walk in and get rooms without showing anything. That night, she wrote the policy she would later use in her own hotels. Zero tolerance for judging guests by appearance. "Get security," Mark barked at David, who had moved away from the desk and stood near the office hallway, looking uncertain. "Call them now." But David hesitated. His confidence had cracked. In front, Of him stood not a woman begging for a room, but someone who knew something he didn't. And worse, guests were watching. Lisa's phone moved from face to face, catching every nervous look, every moment of doubt. Jake, still streaming live, turned to a guest standing nearby. "Sir, what do you see happening here?" The man answered without hesitation. "I see someone getting kicked out of a hotel she clearly belongs in." Mark spun around. "That's slander. She hasn't proven anything." Maya calmly turned her phone toward the crowd. "Would anyone like proof?" Jake immediately called out. "Show them!" But she didn't pull out a badge or show a contract. Instead, she turned to Anna and asked softly, "Do you see my name in the computer system?" Anna nodded. "Yes, it's under Johnson, penthouse suite, checked in online." "And is there a VIP tag on it?" Maya continued. Anna nodded again. "Yes, marked as executive level, owner access codes." The lobby went quiet. Mark's eyes moved around nervously. That could be fake. She could have hacked our system. Lisa snapped back. "You really think someone walked in off the street, hacked your computer, and brought 3,000 witnesses?" Sarah suddenly looked pale and stared at the floor. David stepped forward, worried. "I locked the card in the safe like you told me, Mark. What if we're wrong?" Maya turned to him. "You were told to steal from me. That's what you did. But you had a choice." David's mouth opened, then closed again. Then the crowd shifted. A guest, an older woman with white hair and a flower scarf, moved forward. She stood between Maya and Sarah and said simply, "You're not touching her again." Another man joined her, then a woman pushing a stroller. Within seconds, a loose half-circle had formed in front of Maya, like the guests had drawn a line in the sand. Mark stood behind the desk, suddenly looking much smaller than before. Maya looked around at the human wall that had formed without her asking. "This is what happens," she said softly, "when silence stops being an option." Jake turned his phone to show the crowd. "They're standing with her now," he said to his camera, "and I don't think they're moving." Mark's desperation hit its peak. He shouted over the lobby noise, "You're all being tricked! She's playing you!" Then David, still holding the speaker microphone, whispered something barely heard. But the whole lobby heard it echo through the speakers. "She owns this place, doesn't she?" The words hung in the air like smoke. Lisa slowly moved her phone toward Maya's face. "Do you?" she asked, breathless. Anna stepped forward. "She does." Gasps spread across the room. A man near the sitting area whispered, "Wait, this is her hotel." Sarah turned to Mark in horror. "You said she was lying." Mark didn't speak. Jake looked into his camera lens. This is the moment everything changed. Maya stepped forward again, now past Anna, past the half-circle of guests, right up to the front desk where Mark stood frozen. "You wanted me out," she said evenly. "You called me a thief. You humiliated me in my own lobby." Mark opened his mouth, but no sound came out. From her phone, Kelly's voice came through loud and clear. "Maya, the legal team is ready. Should I patch them through?" Maya's eyes didn't leave Mark's. "Yes, right now." She tapped her phone once, and a new voice, sharp and clear, came through the speaker. "Maya, everything's prepared. We're standing by. For your order." Maya took a breath. "Fire. Mark Davis. Fire. Sarah Chen. Fire. David Wilson. Remove them from the Grand City system immediately. Lock their access and record today's incident for the legal review." A moment of silence. Then the voice. "Confirmed. Processing now." And in that instant, Mark's work badge turned red. So did Sarah's. So did David's. They were locked out of the system, live, in front of every guest. No yelling, no drama, just justice, quiet, complete, and final. And in the eyes of every guest watching, one truth became clear. This woman hadn't just defended herself. She had torn down a broken system in 12 minutes. What would you do if you witnessed this happening? Let us know in the comments below. But the story isn't over yet. Mark Davis's last bit of control shattered the moment his work badge turned red. He stared at it, shocked, like it had betrayed him. David's face went white as his own badge showed the same error, locking him out of the Grand City system in real time. Sarah froze, lips open in disbelief, still holding the edge of the counter like hanging on would somehow save her job. But the lobby had already changed. What once felt like a place of power now buzzed with rebellion. Ana Rodriguez, no longer the quiet desk worker, stood tall beside Maya. Her voice was steady and strong. "They've been removed," she announced loud enough for every guest to hear. "They don't work for Grand City anymore." Mark exploded. "This is illegal. You can't just do this. This isn't how hotels work." He turned to Sarah, desperate. "Call corporate. Get someone on the phone now." But Sarah's hands shook as she checked her phone. Blocked. The Grand City system had shut down her staff access. "It's gone," she whispered, panic spreading across her face. "Everything's locked." David tried to step toward the safe to get Maya's card back, but Ana raised her hand. "Stop right there," she commanded. "You're not allowed to touch guest property anymore. Step away from the counter." David hesitated, then slowly backed away. Then came the final push. Mark, boiling with embarrassment, lashed out in the worst way possible. "You think this circus makes you a leader?" he snarled at Maya. "You tricked us. You embarrassed us in public. You'll get sued for this." But his voice cracked when he said it. He was no longer in control, and he knew it. Maya, still calm, tilted her head slightly. "You think leadership is about hiding who you are? Tricking people?" She gestured to the guests around them. "Leadership is when people who've been ignored for too long finally get heard." Right on cue, a woman in the crowd raised her voice. "You never handled my complaint last year," she said. "I emailed about problems at check-in, and no one ever responded. You were the one who wrote back and dismissed it." Mark turned sharply to see her face, then looked away, recognizing her. Another voice joined in. "I was charged twice for my room and got no help until I threatened to get a lawyer." A man called out from behind the sitting area. "I asked for a room I could use with my wheelchair and was told none were available. Then I watched someone else check in and get one right away." One by one, guest voices became a chorus of past problems and ignored complaints. Ana stepped forward again, now confident with the truth on her side. "I wrote down 4 complaints in the last 3 months about unfair treatment at the front desk. They were all dismissed. Mark signed off on dismissing them himself." Sarah backed up until she hit the wall, eyes moving between guests and her former co-workers. "Mark, what is this?" she whispered. "They're all turning on us." Mark's voice was now just a whimper. "They're just angry. This will all blow over." But it didn't blow over. It grew stronger. Jake moved his live stream across the lobby. "This is what justice looks like," he told his viewers. "They pushed too far, and now the guests are speaking up." Then came the moment that sealed everything. Lisa pulled up her social media post, now going viral. Thousands of comments, hundreds of shares, screenshots of David's speaker announcement where he said, "This card is now hotel property." Under it, a video of Sarah grabbing Maya's arm, another clip of Mark yelling, "People like her don't belong here." "It's everywhere now," Lisa said out loud. "Everyone's seeing it." Mark's desperation snapped again. He moved toward the counter, shouting, "Delete that! That's private property." But 3 guests stepped in his path. One of them, a quiet man with glasses and a computer bag, simply said, "No, you don't get to silence this anymore." The other guest, an elderly woman in a flower dress, held up her phone. "Your face is already online. You might want to think before making more threats." That was the breaking point. Sarah turned to Maya, her voice shaking. "I didn't know," she said. "I didn't mean for this to happen." But Maya didn't nod or offer comfort. She simply said, "You helped make it happen. You watched it happen." Then Mark did something no one expected. He turned to Maya, his voice broken. shoulders dropping. "Why didn't you tell us who you were?" he asked. "You set us up." Maya blinked slowly. "No, I gave you every chance to treat me like any other guest. That was the test, and you failed it in front of everyone." That's when Kelly's voice returned, now on speaker through Maya's phone. "Maya, the board has approved full incident response. Legal is ready for your next steps." Maya looked across the lobby, seeing every shocked face, every guest still holding a phone, still witnessing everything. Put them through. A new voice, crisp and professional, filled the air. Mark Davis, Sarah Chen, David Wilson. "Your employment with Grand City Hotels is over immediately. Your access has been removed. Legal papers are being prepared. Ms. Johnson will handle next steps directly. All guests, please know that new management will address your concerns right away." The weight of those words hit like thunder. David tried one last protest. "This is crazy. We built this place." But Maya cut him off. "You built nothing. You guarded the door and turned away the people we're supposed to serve." She turned to Anna. "Please open the safe and give me my card back." Anna moved quickly and professionally. She entered a new code and opened the safe. Maya's black card sat inside, untouched and perfect. Anna handed it back without a word, but her eyes were wet with emotion. Then came the guests. One by one, they began clapping. Not loud or crazy, but with purpose, like they were acknowledging something that was long overdue. Maya looked out at them and spoke, not with anger, but with certainty. This wasn't just about me. This was about every guest who was told they were a problem, about every complaint that got ignored, every policy used to hurt instead of help. That ends today. Mark, Sarah, and David stood behind the counter, stripped of their jobs, their power, and their audience. But the consequences were just beginning. Maya turned back to her phone. "Kelly, we're starting full hotel reform. Prepare the announcement and promote Anna Rodriguez. She'll be running this location." "Yes, ma'am," Kelly replied. And with that, Maya Johnson stepped forward, no longer mistaken for someone else, no longer anonymous. She had just taken her hotel back, one decision at a time. 3 months later, the Grand City Hotel looked the same on the outside. The marble floors still shined, the lights still sparkled, and the comfortable chairs still welcomed guests to sit and relax. But the silence that once carried judgment now carried welcome. A framed photo of Maya now hung near the check-in desk, not for show, but for accountability. Under it, a sign read, "This space belongs to every guest, no exceptions." Guests walked in and out without fear of being questioned based on how they looked, sounded, or dressed. Behind the desk stood Anna Rodriguez, now permanently appointed as general manager. Not just because she was brave, but because she showed what real leadership looked like. The changes Maya made spread far beyond Chicago. Grand City Hotels launched, a complete review, checking all 43 of its hotels across the country. Dozens of previously ignored complaints came to light, and new training programs were put in place at every location. Each hotel adopted new fairness policies, guest advisory panels, anonymous feedback systems, and zero-tolerance rules with real consequences. As for the guests who witnessed the incident that day, they received personal letters of thanks and follow-up calls, not from customer service workers, but from Maya herself. "You stood up when others looked away," one message read. "That matters." Lisa Park and Jake Moore, whose live streams and posts had sparked national attention without a single hashtag, were invited to speak at Grand City's leadership conference. "We didn't plan to expose anything," Jake said on stage. "We just refused to look away." But even as the company transformed, the past wouldn't stay buried. 1 week after the incident, Maya received a quiet message from a former hotel manager in Detroit who had worked under similar conditions years before. There was an unwritten rule from regional management, he confessed. We were told to be extra careful with certain guests if they didn't look like they belonged. It wasn't written down, but we all knew. Maya didn't respond with anger. She thanked him for telling the truth and passed his statement to the legal team. That single confession revealed the final truth. The Grand City incident had never been about one manager abusing power. It was about a system that had quietly allowed it. As news of the confession spread, former employees from other hotels began speaking up. A Grand City task force was formed to review staff who had been unfairly disciplined. Several were brought back, others received settlements. Maya made sure no one would ever be hired or fired again without proper documentation. It takes more than policies to rebuild trust, she told her leadership team. It takes proof that staying silent won't be rewarded and that telling the truth won't cost you your job. Maya's reputation changed. Once known as a private businesswoman who built a hotel empire through hard work and smart decisions, she became publicly celebrated as a reformer. Not because she wanted attention, but because she had stepped into the spotlight to make change permanent. She launched a new division within Grand City called City Forward, focused on fairness, equality, and real results, not just slogans.